ready to start?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, so first off, who are you and what do you do for a living?
My name is Maisie Mahoney. I graduated WashU BME in 2016, and currently I work for a giant healthcare company called Merck, and it's the German Merck, so Merck KGaA. There's two Mercks, which is, you don't need to know that, but there is. And I work in a kind of like a biotech part of that company.
Okay. So what made you want to become a biomedical engineer?
So for me, when I was in high school, I was really into sports, and I did sports in college. But I actually had some experience with physics and statics, which is like the first level of mechanical engineering. And I thought it was the cool, like I always loved math, and I loved problem solving, like I was on the math team. I liked math that much, which is sometimes embarrassing, but I loved it. And from doing track and field, I always found it fascinating to try to understand how the body works. Like if you think about high jump, like it's all about the proper physics and getting your body to do that. So for me, it was just like a fascination with the human body and a love of like math and physics that kind of made biomedical engineering the best. And it was like interesting. So I thought that if it was going to be challenging, at least I'd find it really interesting.
So, I know this, but what school did you attend to get your degree?
I went to WashU in St. Louis.
When you went, did people not know the name either? Like they always thought it was in like Seattle or Washington, D.C.?
Yeah, and it's actually the worst because I'm from a town called Oregon, Illinois.
Oh.
And then I went to Washington University in St. Louis, and everyone's like, so you're from the West Coast? And I was like, no, I'm from the Midwest. Yeah, no, people get confused, and I kind of have to be like, I said it's in St. Louis. Yeah.
So what is an average day at work like for you?
So now I work more on the business side of things. I started in data science, but now I work more in the business. So I actually took, like, out of BME, a lot of people will pick, like, research or they'll pick business. And I picked business. I have a lot of friends in research. So if you do want to talk to any, like, PhD, PT candidates, I can connect you to them because I have some friends in, like, a PT or a PhD program that were BMEs. But I went business. So a lot of my day, it's a lot of meetings, honestly, but around topics that are wide-ranging. So sometimes we're trying to figure out how do we partner with a tech company to help researchers speed up their process, because a lot of what my department focuses on is building software to help people in research do research better and do it faster, which I think is really cool because I love learning about, and I get to work with a lot of those end scientists and like researchers, and the company I work for develops and sells its own chemicals and drugs, actually. So I get to work with those users and figure out like what are their needs. I get to learn about the science that we're doing. So sometimes my meetings are speaking with people in the lab to figure out what the new innovation was in their specific chemistry workflow. And other times it's working with tech companies that have a specific thing or a specific algorithm that they can do, and figuring out how we can partner with them to build something for scientists. So honestly, it's a lot of meetings. I manage a small team. When I was in data science, it was just a lot of kind of working with the business and working with my colleagues to figure out how to solve their problems, and it was a lot of like coding. So that, I hope that answers. My days kind of vary, and I travel a lot for work. So I actually lived in Germany for a year and a half because I work for a big international company, and now I'm in Boston. So I do a lot of business trips too, which is fun. It's tiring, but being able to travel internationally for work is really cool.
Okay, so what hours do you usually work?
Honestly, my weeks haven't been that crazy because I work for a really big company. I work less hours. So I'd say I work between 45 and 55 hours a week. Sometimes I've worked up to like 60, 70. Other times I've had just 40-hour weeks. I have a couple friends that are at more startups that are in the same space, and they work longer hours. But I work, actually, because it's such a big company, there's a lot of people to do a lot of things, so it doesn't make my hours too crazy, on average.
Do you feel as though your job is fulfilling for the amount of work you do?
I don't notice, because it's usually when I find something really interesting or it's a project that's really important, and so I have a lot of fun. And I don't know, that's something that I learned through school, is like with BME, the coursework gets a lot, but I like when it got up to my junior year, I really liked the classes, so I didn't mind that. It was really interesting work. And that's the same with my job now. And the cool thing, like right now with the coronavirus things, which I'm sure you've heard a lot about, we're actually working on projects relevant to that. So my weeks have been busier, but it's been extra fulfilling because it's trying to tackle some of the world's like biggest problem right now.
So what is your favorite part about the job?
I would say the people I get to work with. Working for a company like mine, I get to work with a lot of really, really smart people that are way smarter than I am, if I'm being completely honest. And so some of them are data scientists, some of them are just research scientists, some of them have crazy business experiences. I work in my office, and there's people from Germany that live in the U.S., there's people from Italy. My best friend is South African, and I've met her through work, so that has been really cool, especially being from Illinois, like getting to meet all these incredibly smart, diverse people through my job.
What skills do you find are the most critical for this job?
I would say the thing about the biomedical engineering field is it's newer and it changes a lot. And I think anything that involves technology in any way changes really quickly. So the problems are hard because no one's really figured out how to do them yet, which is cool. But I'd say if you can be adaptable and like learn quickly, that's actually the biggest thing I learned just even through school, is like being comfortable with knowing you're going to figure it out eventually. Being willing to ask for help. I ask for help all the time. And that's like the point of working in a business, is no one expects you to be able to do it all. And they say that, but no one ever really believes it. But honestly, I ask questions all the time. And adaptable, learn quickly, ask for help. Those are the big things, I think.
Okay. Do you have any regrets about choosing this career?
Yeah, I do. So when I was in undergrad, I was doing mechanical engineering, like biomechanics research. And granted, I get bored really easily, and that's why I didn't stick with research, is because, after a semester I'd be like, this is really cool, but I'd like want to do something else. And if you're in research, it's super interesting, but you have to really be engaged with like the one topic. So I do, and then I started interning at this company after my sophomore year and never looked back. I've only worked for this company, but I've done 5 different jobs. But I do kind of regret not going into like biomechanics, because I still find it really interesting. So what I do now is like I talk to my friends that are doing that research, or just to learn about it, or I read books on physics sometimes, which is a little much. But I think that's my only regret, because I still find it really cool. I just don't really want to research personally.
Yeah. So what's your least favorite part about your job?
I would say one of the biggest things about working in a business is there's this whole part of it that involves just people. And as much as I love working with people, people can make things more complicated than they should be. And so the thing that's helped me be successful is I've been able to work with the technical people and the non-technical people. And like, you're able to talk to me really easily. Like, that's a skill that not a lot of engineers have.
Yeah.
Like, they're the best at doing the thing they're supposed to be doing, but then if they have to present on it, it's hard. So for me, it's frustrating, because I'm like, man, people are challenging. They just like make it harder for themselves. But it's also fun because it's a skill that I have where like I was a technical person. Now I'm not. So like I can work with our salespeople and talk to them, and work with our engineers and talk to them, but like they don't like to talk to each other all the time. And that's frustrating, because you're like, it could be so much easier if you just weren't so stubborn. But
so what advice do you have for someone like me wanting to go into this field?
Well, I would say be open to any opportunities that come your way. I think I went into undergrad really thinking I was going to go build prosthetics. And that's like what I wanted to do. And then I met this person, the one networking event I went to, which I hate. I don't like networking, but it's important. And I went to this one event and I met this person who now is still my boss. So he hired me into the company, and then I kind of followed him around, and now he's my actual boss. But I met him, and he was talking about the company that I work for now, and I was like, that actually sounds really cool. And you're an interesting person, so yeah, I'd like to learn from you. And it totally changed my career path, but it was I could have never planned for it. And I think that for you, I mean, you might love BME, you also might not like it, but that's okay. Mm-hmm. And you might be like, oh, I want to go get my PhD, and then halfway through be like, actually, I want to get my MBA and go in here, or actually, I want to work in consulting, or like, you know what, I want to do law now, do patent law. You know, there's like so many things, and you're not going to know, and that's fine. But it bothers me still that I don't know what I want to do next. But yeah, that I like could never have expected this to happen, but it did. So.
Well, this I didn't have typed out, but I thought about it today. I know WashU has like most people get internships their sophomore and junior years. So how hard was it to find a job out of college, and where are the jobs mostly at?
So for me, it wasn't that tough because I got it through my internship, and I think there's a lot of kids that'll get their internships after their freshman year. I did not. I went and worked at like the park district in my hometown. I mulched all summer. And then my sophomore year, I wasn't expecting to get one, but I did somehow. And then my junior year, I got an offer through that. I would say, though, that's a challenge, but for engineers specifically, in the healthcare, so say you want to go to BME and you don't want to do research and you want to go into business, you're an awesome asset to a company that gets a lot of people from the business school. I think, like, a lot of companies are doing more and more healthcare consulting, and they get kids from economics, they get kids from other business topics, but as an engineer, you have a lot more technical skills, and you can like learn the business skills. Yeah. So I think a lot of the jobs, if you're not going into business, are in those like healthcare specific fields, or in data science is a really big one. So like would always recommend taking a programming class, at least one, no matter what you do, because I had to learn it on the job, and it wasn't that bad, but yeah, it's definitely in that like biotech, health tech space, or in consulting. For consulting is like a whole different thing, and that's a whole different ball game. And then if you want to go into research, I mean, there's a ton of research internships. I'm still really close with one of my professors at WashU that ran undergraduate curriculum for a while. And his research lab is doing a lot of stuff kind of on the forefront of like combining data with healthcare and therapeutics and stuff like that. So it's cool because he's doing research. It's still research, but it's more in that biotech space, and I thought that was really cool. But WashU's a research institution, so like it's super easy to get a research position. I mean, it's easy to find an opportunity. So regardless, I would recommend that. But I'd say those are the jobs it's if you can figure out how to position yourself, which I think you'll do well at, there's a ton of opportunities. You just kind of have to figure out what makes sense. And the nice thing with like a lot of them is you can do it for 2 years and pick something else later. Yeah.